trying to think. What are you doing?
Yeah, see?
Uh-huh. So you think this will work?
I think we're going to have a very interesting time capturing whatever paranormal phenomena is occurring or is not occurring.
So seriously, what did you throw down for that?
Well, about half as much as I made today.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.
Like, he's kind of the king of horror right now, of smart horror, maybe. I don't know if that's a word, but
Smorer. I feel like I should write them a letter and say, just want to let you know you mispronounced this person's name. Like,
here's the pans dropping, and here's this going on, and here's a shadow, and here's a sheet, and...
Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheapseat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
The greater good.
Hey, he's back.
Actually, I really should have done that in a sub-audible tone that you had to enhance later on.
Yeah.
And computer alter to make it sound like it said the greater good.
Yeah. That's hard to do live on a podcast, but I see your point.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. But you see where I was trying to go.
Yeah, I do. I like where your headspace is at. I like it. Speaking of that very thing, we'll have to get into that. But remind me in just a second after. I don't want to have like a 20-minute long story before I intro our guests like I did like last week. But I'm going to come back to that thing. Okay, so this is episode 415, and today we're talking about Paranormal Activity.
Welcome to October, folks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we are the beginning of Cheap Scare Reviews.
Shawn's favorite month.
It really is. And that's usually because there's at least one movie that comes out of this that I hadn't seen that I really enjoy. You know, obviously, example, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, or I think last year, The Frighteners was a great example. Dr. Sleep last year. So there's always like that one movie that I go away from really, really glad that we watched. Is it going to be this movie? We'll find out. So I am Shawn Allred, and joining me tonight is Andrew. Were the actors acting sleep, or were they actually asleep, Jemison?
Hey. It's been a minute since I just had a one-word reply. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. That was very appropriate.
I thought it worked.
Yeah, it always does. Works great. Sam.
What?
Never borrow a friend's Ouija board, Vector.
Right. And Shawn, other than gathering demons up to send to you to kill you, I'm just going to put you on this flimsy ladder to go up into the attic and and see what you can do up there.
Okay.
So just thought you'd know.
Sure. I've actually fallen through a ceiling before. Fortunately, it wasn't mine. It was at a church that we were working on, and it needed to be demoed anyway. But I have fallen through a ceiling.
Oh my gosh.
It hurt a lot.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
Did you fall through a Christy Brinkley poster and then stand on a bunk bed and warm your hands?
No.
No?
No, I didn't do that.
See, that's the only way to fall through a ceiling.
That's true.
Unfortunately, I both didn't do that or get to that reference.
Oh, Christmas Vacation. Come on.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Dang. It's been too many years since I've seen that movie. That's not on our annual rewatch thing to do. And making her Cheapseat Reviews debut, coming all the way from Australia, is Ebony. Change this movie just to scare Shawn from the Gruesome Twosome movie Reviewsome podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so very glad to have you on. I've been listening to your show. Gosh, the first time I heard your show was it was cold outside still. It was like back in February or March. And I was
wait, that's opposite for them, I believe.
Well, that's true.
It was boiling hot here.
Yeah.
I'm melting away.
I was like, oh my gosh, what a fun show. And I really enjoyed your show because you guys were, you review, horror films and stuff. And I'm going to let you talk about that in just a second.
Oh, so she knew exactly how to get you.
Oh yeah.
She knew exactly
Oh
what
yeah.
the fuck
I knew.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, she, so Ebony, tell our listeners about you have 2 podcasts, so feel free to talk about both of them.
Well, the one that you had just brought up was the Gruesome Twosome movie Reviewsome, which I usually do with one of my best friends, Jess. But it's been a while since she's been on because she's got health stuff going on. But anyway, we try to find more obscure horror movies. So we've done like Basket Case, we've done Killer Clowns, we've done just more 80s ridiculousness more than anything. And then my other podcast is Sweet and Sour Nuggiez, which is a mental health podcast. And it's part me discussing mental health and just part my own therapy. So it's a bit of both worlds.
Yeah.
At it, really. Yeah.
And both are very good. I have listened to both, many episodes of both. It's good. It's good stuff. So, but yeah, so Sam, you're not wrong. When I reached out to her a while ago to try to bribe her to come on the podcast, it's not as easy to bribe someone in Australia with stickers because that's. So Sam, before I get into how we got to this movie with my joke about Ebony's middle name, you mentioned the, doing the audio so quiet you couldn't hear it. They would have to alter it. So when I was working at UNC Charlotte, I had a student come up to me and say, "Hey, you're an audio engineer, right?" I said, "Yeah, by trade." And he goes, "I have a clip of audio I want you to help me out with." And I said, "Okay, what's that?" And he says, "I stayed at the." Oh crap!
Did he rickroll you?
No, it was an asylum in Ohio. It's a famous asylum. I can't think of what it's called now. Anyway, it
I know
doesn't
what
matter.
you're talking about. Yeah, it's an old asylum.
It's an old asylum. It's in Ohio. It's like one of the most haunted buildings in America, right? And they did a night there. They did a tour there, and what they did was they had a tape recorder or some kind of audio recorder, and they just let it record the room that they were in. So he gives me this section. It's about 20 seconds of audio, and in that 20 seconds, there's about 5 or 6 seconds where there's another voice that you can hear that's clearly not the people in the room. So I do a little CSI thing where you roll the high end off and the low end off, and you boost the middle gain, and did some stuff there so that you can hear it's some kind of language. It sounds kind of like Spanish, but it's hard to tell. So I gave it to him, and he was Waverly Hills. That's what it's called. Waverly Hills is the name of the asylum. And so anyway, he was very excited for it. So I've literally done that thing saying that you're talking about. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't doubt it. The crazy thing is, they still have those things on TikTok and stuff where, they'll show people are using radios now apparently to try to get it to work.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not a big fan. I'm too chicken.
Yeah. BuzzFeed has a great show that is all about paranormal exploration. And there's 2 guys in their 30s that are just hanging out with each other and trying to scare each other by going to these awesome places and listening to those radios and sleeping overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We stayed in an
for
old
me.
rundown jail in school.
Oh, on purpose? Was it like
Yeah,
a field
it
trip?
was a camp.
Oh my gosh.
It was this old
I would
jail
love
that
to see
hasn't been used in years. And they're like, oh yeah, let's throw a bunch of 12-year-olds in jail for a night.
Wow. I'd love to see the permission slip on that one.
Yeah,
Oh my
Australia
gosh.
does things hardcore, man. Jeez. That's great. So this other story I need to tell before we get into the movie itself is, so up until about 5 days ago, we were going to be doing Spirited Away for our movie with Ebony, and we were going to
Wait, is that a Ghibli thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we were going to do Spirited Away because when I said to Ebony, I said, "Hey, what do you want to watch?" And she says, "I don't care, whatever you want to do." And well, I know that Ebony is a huge fan of anime, and she's given me shit on multiple occasions for having not seen any of the Miyazaki films.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't seen
I'm
any of
wearing
them.
a Spirited Away hoodie right now too.
Right. So I said, well, what about Spirited Away streaming? It's on Netflix, I think, or something. I was like, it's streaming. Let's do that. And she's like, absolutely. Let's do it. Okay, great. So that was the plan that was going to be, and that next week was going to start cheap scare reviews. So somehow we got into a conversation on Twitter, and I mentioned something about Paranormal Activity got brought up, and I said, I couldn't even watch. The second one scared me. The trailer for the second one scared me so badly. My son had just been born, and I had the little baby camera next to me, right? So it's got the little static going, and it's it's night vision, right? So everything is kind of green and whatever. So it's just like the trailer for Paranormal Activity 2, right? Yep. So the trailer,
and when the kid looks at you, the eyes glow.
Yes. So my son at this age is so small and little. I mean, he's very new, so he can't look at the camera, right? He's still just like a week old. He can't move his head. Yeah,
he levitates his head.
Oh my God, I would have lost my mind. So I got the little thing next to me. So the trailer for Paranormal Activity 2 comes on. It's the teaser, right? So it's like a security camera, like high up looking down, and it's a room with a baby crib and a German Shepherd, and there's a door on the right. So then everyone's asleep, and then it flashes, and then the baby's stirring, right? And then it kind of flashes again, and then the baby's sitting up, and the dog is sitting up. Like the dog, his head is up, and then it flashes again. Now the baby I say baby, it's like a toddler, is standing up in the crib, and the dog is now ears up, attention alert, right? And then it flashes again. The baby is screaming. The dog is barking madly as the door opens. And then it cuts to Paranormal Activity 2, right? Well, at that point, I look over at the baby monitor, right? Just as a car drives by. So, of course, it changes the light in the room. And I was like, nope, can't do it. And I turned it off. I literally turned it off, and I'm like, done. So I tell a abridged version of that story to Ebony on Twitter, and she's like, oh my God, we have to do Paranormal Activity for the show. Because she knew that it would scare me. So that's how I came to this here movie. So Andrew, go ahead and tell us what is Paranormal Activity, and then we'll talk about how much it scared the shit out of me.
All right. After moving into a suburban home, a couple becomes increasingly disturbed by a nightly demonic presence. That's all she wrote.
Well, it's about as long as the movie, so I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
I am thankful that this is under an hour and a half. I mean, this is a short movie.
Yeah, it's an hour 26.
Yeah, it also helps that there's no credits, front or back. There are no credits to this movie. That is
true. I never thought of that. Yeah.
So, okay. So, we know, Ebony, we know this is a favorite of yours, because you watched it again today, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I watched it about 3 hours before our recording.
Oh.
For the 100th time in 2 years. So.
So this is comfort food for you, right? This is one that you like.
It's background noise. I can easily just put it on and just go about my day.
That's so interesting to me. It's just
even with the screams and the wow.
Okay. Oh yeah. Wow. This is PG for me.
I will say that after watching it the second time, because I watched it thinking that we were recording a different day of the week this week. I watched it back on Sunday or something. And then, to be fresh on my knowledge of the movie, I watched it again today. And I have to say, watching it the second time, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because you know what's coming. That's it. Yeah. That's all it is, right? The anticipation, you kind of, there is so much buildup of anticipation in this movie. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So Andrew and I were both virgins to this. Sam, had you seen this before?
No, I had seen, apparently I thought I did, but I guess I've seen a lot of scenes from the second one, the one with the kid.
Right.
So, yeah. It's, well, I mean, everybody knows our stances on horror movies and how much dorks and nerds and craven we are about these things. But this was an interesting one.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, I guess if you're listening to this because you're a fan of Ebony's and you don't know, the three of us, we aren't really huge horror fans. And usually what happens though is we watch a movie that we know is going to scare us, and we usually walk away going, that was pretty good. Like, I think we have all enjoyed the Conjuring movies, the two that we've watched.
I love the Conjurings. Yeah.
Yeah. And those were, pretty legit scary. They got to me a little bit, especially the first one, not as much as the second one, but the first one was pretty effective. And it, I mean, that one gave me bad dreams,
Yeah.
So, but again, it happened every year. So let's go ahead and do our 5-word reviews. And Sam, I'll let you start off.
Sure. I've got 2 here. And the first one is Homemade Terror Looks Legit. The way they put this thing together, even though it's low budget, I thought they did an incredible job making this really look like the found footage / a guy set up his camera in the bedroom to capture all this stuff. The footprints, the knocking, the shadows. I think they just did a really, really good job making this look like an average ho-hum house that could happen anywhere. And there's not much to this story. It's pretty much she's been living with it, and he kind of makes it escalate. And with that, I've got my second 5-word review, which says bad dude takes away stakes. And here's where I think the movie fails. And it's that this guy is such an idiot and such a bad boyfriend and such a bad guy. I could care less what happens to him.
Right.
And I thought the choices he made in this movie completely killed any good feelings I would have about them. She didn't, certainly she got attacked and she got the bitten and all that sort of stuff. But I don't know. It took me out of the movie that he was making these decisions that were just going to make them get hurt. And you could see that from a mile away. When you saw him with the Ouija board, you knew something was going to happen. And I think that was a bad choice. I also think that and see, I've only seen the end on the Amazon movie. Apparently there's 3 different ends or 2 different ends. I'm not 100% sure.
There's 2 others. Yeah.
I didn't like the ending. So I thought the way that it showed her coming into the camera at the very end, I thought that was so cheesy and over the top in a movie that was so grounded in what was kind of a realistic take. And I laughed. It didn't scare me. I was like, oh, that's just, it felt like a student film at that point. But I thought everything else.
The others either.
What's that?
I said you wouldn't have liked the other endings either.
Oh, okay.
To be honest.
Oh, really? So, I mean, I enjoyed seeing this in terms of, hey, let's get together and make one of these things, right? It's like the old time, you have a camcorder in high school and you can make these types of movies. That's what it felt like. But otherwise, it just, I don't know. It didn't hit me as much as I thought it would. Now, of course, I did watch it in a very, very strange way. I put it on at work. I closed my office door. I turned off the lights, and I have one of those little boozy speakers in the office, and it's like Bluetooth. And because I didn't want my neighbors hearing people scream and demon sounds or whatever else I thought might come, I had to turn it down really low and then kind of snuggle up to it on my ear, right? So I don't know if that made it scarier or not, but I jumped once. Let's just say that.
For those who are listening, no, Sam isn't drunk. His speaker is called a Bose. He just says that to annoy me. I was interested to see how you watch it, because I have been chastised on the podcast several times for not watching it in the experience that it's like in its intended experience.
It's set to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, these types of things are meant to be seen in a theater around other people, and that amplifies the feelings. It has to,
because you get
you feed off of the energy in the room for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, my viewing experience was here in the office where I am now, but I did turn off. I didn't turn off all the lights because I have to see the keyboard. But But I had the main light off. I just have my little lightsaber lamp on and the light of the TV, and that was it. And I'm wearing headphones. So, I'm as immersed into this as I can possibly be. I was, trying to give the movie experience my full attention.
Yeah.
It didn't help that at some point my wife walked up the stairs when there was happening in the movie. So there was a couple of external factors that added to my fright in the movie. So, and that being one of them, where there was kind of a weird stereo effect. I had to take my headphones off to, okay, that's my wife, put it back on. So, Ebony, what's your 5-word review?
I really struggled with this. And I'm still struggling with it. I'm racking like so many different words in my head. I've gone all morning and I still cannot think of a way to describe this in 5 words. Probably good practical effects, poor execution.
Oh,
Probably the way I'd go about it.
Okay, interesting. So yeah, so keep going on that. Why do you say the poor execution?
As someone who's rewatched it so many damn times, so many damn times. I mean, obviously you're going to know what's coming because I've seen it 100 and God knows how many times. But the more, it doesn't have a rewatchable factor for enjoyment. I have it on as background noise. I can't sit there and rewatch it and be like, oh my God, like, if I'm comparing it to another film where, like, for me, the Blair Witch Project will always freak me out regardless. There are scenes in that film that I know it's coming, but it's done practically well that it still affects me. With this, I'm like, okay, cool, the door's going to swing open now. Okay, cool, there's powder on the floor now. Like, there's nothing to really immerse you once you've already seen it.
Right.
So
That's a great point.
They're done well because they're practical, and I love practical effects, and it's very minimal, but it doesn't have a longevity factor about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like and Shawn's already said we're not horror people, but I did watch The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix.
That's so good.
And that's one that I could watch over again and enjoy it the second time.
Yeah.
And maybe even a third time.
Well, and it's because you miss things, because it's smart.
Yeah.
And it's got extra things that you just don't realize it. So
well, and that's I mean, that's Mike Flanagan, right? Like he's kind of the king of horror right now, of smart horror, maybe. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I'm saying? S'morer, yeah.
S'morer.
I don't know if I'm even king of horror, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, he's not the king of horror, but because he's not. But like, I don't know who is, right? I mean, it's not Rob Zombie, but I mean, it's
Stephen King in books.
No, you're trying.
Yeah, but I don't know who it would be. And Ebony, you probably would have a better, whoever it is.
There even is one at the moment.
I mean, like the guy what did Midsummer, right? Like he's
Ari Aster.
Yeah, like he's in a pretty.
But you also have what's his name? Peele.
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele, yeah.
I would say he is at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of up and coming, really smart horror. I mean, there's still going to be the Rob
John Carpenter.
I don't think he's up and coming.
Wes Craven.
Yes, I mean
again, not up and coming.
Yeah, these are still like
Craven's definitely not up and coming. If he's up and coming,
yeah, like these are still. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like these guys are like.
Well, it's horror.
At least, I mean, Hellraiser's just come out again, so you could go Clive Barker, but maybe not Wes Craven.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, to your point, Sam, those are still giants in the horror industry. I mean, they're still huge. I guess my point is like, who's the go-to guy right now? Who's the director? It's like we want to make a really legit horror film. Who do we go? Because for like a 5 minutes, it was the guy say it again.
There's a few at the moment.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi. I mean, Marvel came to Sam Raimi and said, "Hey, we want a Doctor Strange to be the horror Marvel movie. Can you help us out?"
And it's as horror as Marvel will allow it to be and be PG-13.
Yeah.
But there's also the guy what did the Saw movies, those first ones, right? He was
James
really
Wan.
yeah, he was really popular for a little while too. So there's still a lot of
Lee Whannell came out of that, and he's probably got the bigger name than James Wan does now because they did that together.
Say that name again. I think I talked over you.
So Lee Whannell was pretty much James Wan's like buddy. Like they did the Saws together. The first one, maybe second. I could be wrong there. Lee Whannell got a bigger name in the end than James Wan in horror because James Wan ended up going to Fast and Furious and stuff like that.
Right, he did other
So he
things.
did have that little portion where he had like the Insidious movies and he had his name to Conjuring and he had his name to things, but he wasn't really the go-to director where Lee Whannell sort of took that title from him.
Interesting.
But then it went to Eli Roth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's gone to Ari Aster and it's gone to Jordan Peele. Like it just keeps going. There's no real it person anymore like there used to be in the 70s and 80s.
Well, our tastes keep moving too, right? I mean, it goes from slasher to
psychological to ghost to whatever. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Whose turn is it, Andrew?
Yeah. I've got two. One's not 5 words though. I'll do the 5-word first. Best horror is left unseen.
Yes. Yeah.
And talking about that ending again, Sam, I think that had he went down the stairs at the end and we just heard a thud in silence, that may have been a better ending.
Yeah.
And
or
just cut to black.
He flies back into the camera and it goes to fuzz.
Yeah. Yeah. But the other endings, there's an ending that I think was the original ending, where she comes in and the police show up and they shoot her. She's standing there holding a knife.
Was the original.
Okay. So then the other one was, the other one was she slits her own throat with the knife.
Yeah. That was the original. And then Spielberg actually came in and said that they shouldn't do that. And then he put forward the idea, of the
well, that's so they could create a franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of. Have you seen the others?
No, I saw this part.
You didn't really need her to survive to have the others.
But like we don't know what happens to her. Like the movie ends, the theatrical version ends with her. We don't know what happens to her. So that's what I think that's what you're saying, Sam. With a sequel, is that you could put her in the second one. Now she's got a new boyfriend, and the hauntings start again, and like you could cast her as the heroine again, and things whatever. Like I'm not saying that was the plan, but yeah, the original one was pretty. I don't know. Yeah, she just walks right in front of the camera and then slits her throat, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And then the alternates ones with the cops, they come in, they see her. Right. She kind of comes out of the trance. She says, "Where's whatever his name is, Micah? Where's Micah?" And then she stands up with a knife. And they're like, "Hey, put the knife down." And she doesn't because she's probably not even aware she's holding it. And then they shoot her dead. So,
yeah, I do have a problem. Well, and then I'll get to my second review. I have a problem with the person's name because his name is Micah, clearly, but she calls him Mika the whole time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So glad
and it
I'm
drives
not
me
the only
nuts.
one by that.
And I feel like I should write them a letter and say, just want to let you know you mispronounced this person's name. Like, I know it's your person and you created the character, but you're saying it completely wrong. I'll be that guy, but
yeah.
Well, he's enough of a douche to be like, don't call me Micah.
That's
call
true.
Me Mika.
That kind of does fit his personality because he is a giant bag of douche.
Oh my god.
Right.
my other 5-word review, Shawn has already alluded to. Certain Shawn watched this with lights on.
Yep.
Yeah. Excuse me.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. So out of the three of us, I would say I'm probably the most comfortable with horror movies, I guess. And I watched this just in the bed with it. Everybody was asleep. The lights were completely off in the dark. And I guess because I'm in an apartment right now while I'm trying to find a house, I'm used to noises being around me, so that didn't really bother me. But I do like the fact that the director had the idea for the movie just because of these noises, because I think we've all been in either a cabin that we've rented, or we've all been in somebody else's house that they're not there, and we're visiting, and you hear these noises and you're like, oh, what was that? And it is the creepiest thing ever. And I remember, and I think it was probably a dream, thinking back on it now, but I remember several years ago, I got up in the middle of the night, ripped my blankets off, and went screaming through the house, get out of my house, get out of my house. And I thought I'd heard something, but I honestly think it was just me dreaming that I had heard something.
For your poor wife, poor Carrie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was.
Oh, my gosh. Oh.
Okay. All right.
Well, I will say, I watched it, and then I was just kind of, I don't know, maybe that's why I didn't experience it right, because I kept giggling when the scary moments, thinking what Shawn was going to be doing. like the time you actually hear the demon do the roar, right? I was like, oh, right, he's going to go through the ceiling on this one.
Yeah, I did, because I think I even texted you. Right, because I think I texted you guys, right? I think I said, hold on, let's see what I say. So last night, 30 minutes into it, and I just about peed my pants. And then,
which one was that though? Was that the?
So at 30 minutes
it
was the first roar.
Okay.
I mean, it my skin was crawling. I had those goosebumps. Like the hair was standing on the back of my neck. I almost flung my headphones off. Like it scared me.
Well, you had on Twitter that you were sweating bullets in 10 seconds in. So, of course, you got to jump.
I was sweating going into this. I was really, as soon as we switched it. Now, again, you offered me the out. You did say, no, we can go back. It's fine if this is actually going to bother you. And I said, no, I think it's going to make for better content if you guys get to laugh at me. So I think it'll be a more fun podcast for you guys to listen to me squirm. But like going into The Conjuring, like I knew it was going to make me uncomfortable, but for some reason, knowing that they're actors, like, because it feels like a movie, right?
Yeah,
like
there's a safe spot.
It does feel like a safe spot. Like I'm sitting there watching it, going, I know I'm okay because it's a movie. Like there's a boom operator there, and there's a grip hiding behind the thing, and craft services is just over there. Like I know these things, so I feel better. But for some reason, because this is shot the way it's shot, it leaves almost all of it to the imagination, right? We get to see very little. And because of that,
it's awesome.
Which is what makes it really good, in that it makes my mind work overtime. My mind is having to fill in the blanks that the movie's not giving me. And my mind is a lot scarier than anything this director could show me. And so,
well, that's what we do in real life though, right?
Yeah. You hear the noise,
especially
your mind starts,
the noises at night. Yeah.
Your mind starts filling in the blanks. And so when I post on Twitter, I'm already sweating. It's because I know this movie is going to make me jump. I know this movie is going to make me uncomfortable. So just sitting in my chair, I was literally sweating.
Many movies I should recommend you.
I was.
All found footage too. It's my favorite genre.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
I mean, I was literally perspiring in my chair, and so when they had that first demon roar, I about threw my headphones at my TV. So that was,
and we see that too sometimes I get suckered into the TikTok or YouTube videos that are like, is this Paranormal Activity? And then, it's like 3 minutes of staring at grainy footage, and all of a sudden you see a little bit of a shadow, and that freaks me out. It absolutely freaks me out.
Mm.
So no, I understand.
So you say, dang, that was your response. And then I wrote, damn, that movie is seriously scared me. Oh, hold on, I missed a second. No, then you wrote, I'm sorry, I missed a second. Then you said LOL, and then you said, I'm going to call you at like 3 a.m.
Oh, yes.
And that's when I said, haha, my phone's on Do Not Disturb. You said, dang. And then I said, that movie seriously scared me. And you said, haha, I wasn't even scared. I only jumped one time. The guy kept pissing me off. And I said, yeah, the guy does suck, but it got me. I just took a melatonin to help me go to sleep. I had to take medication last night to go to sleep because I knew that my mind would be still reeling from the movie, right? And then Sam says, I just paid Sarah to stare at you while you sleep. And I said, she didn't watch it.
If I lived closer, if I only lived closer, that's all I got to say.
And she
could have had some fun last night.
There's no way she would have watched this movie. It was just no way. But like,
but she would have helped me scare you though.
She might have. I don't know. She knows how much scared I get at stuff. I think she might have taken would have been afraid to go too far. So anyway, I had to take a melatonin last night to kind of calm down. And yeah, so anyway, I haven't said my 5-word, and mine is a scary, stressful movie experience. I should have, and I didn't think about it in the moment. I should have turned on my heart monitor on my iWatch to see what my beats per minute were, because I know it was. I was pushing 100 every time that low frequency starts up. That's the movie letting you know something's about to happen. Like low frequency kicks in, that means the demon is around. Every time that kicks in, and it's supposed to, right? It's Pavlov's dog, right? It's supposed to scare you. Like I know I would have pushing 100 beats per minute. I know it every time. Gosh dang it, this movie.
Well, and I will say the way they set up the camera and the angle.
Yeah.
You're looking at the time. Like I always notice looking at the time, and then it would speed up and all that sort of stuff. And they're doing that so that your eyes are off the doorway, so that when something happens, it might catch you off guard in that doorway, and of course, scare the bejesus out of you. So,
yeah. Did you notice
effect?
Did you notice, because they do the time stamp and did you notice that there were some moments where there was a shadow that went across the door?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
I didn't the first time.
Subtle.
Yeah, the first time I didn't. There was when of course, obviously when the character Mika is showing it on the thing, I was like, oh wow, they did do that, and I missed it. So then after that I was looking for it, and of course then you see it after that. But it was really well done. I mean, it was a well done movie. I have to give it credit for it. I mean, again, Ebony says it doesn't hold up over the course of 100 viewings, but for the one and the only time I will ever watch this, it got me good. I mean,
well, and I think it's made with a budget for one and done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it does what it's set out to do. You got to give it props for that, really.
Yeah, absolutely. We've mentioned the budget a couple of times. To give you an idea, this was a $15,000 budget. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to give you an idea, I worked on the biggest budget film I ever worked on, movie, was called Ghost Town the Movie. I think it's called that, Ghost Town the Movie. And it was a Western. And that was at about a $5 million movie. And it doesn't look nearly as good as this.
Yeah.
Now, that movie, the movie that we had 30 actors. We had locations. We were outside. There was gun battles and things like that. So it's going to look, the budget. This movie can hide the budget because you have two actors that aren't acting.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no script. They were just told, just like that Drinking Buddies movie that we watched, everything was improv. Just the director says at the beginning of the scene, at the end of the scene, this is where you got to get to. Just act like a couple. You just act like a douche and you just act like a scared woman. And there you go.
And then it's done.
But I mean, like they did a good enough job, I think. There was one time where I thought that the acting was actually bad. And it's when the doctor, the psychic, comes back into the house and is like,
first or second time? The
second time. He comes back and he goes, whoa, this thing is pissed and it wants me out of here. When her kind of acting to him, like there's a moment I could have, because I had to watch it twice because I pulled a clip from that, It almost looks like she's trying to hide a smile, like she knew there was a bad take or something. Like there's a one moment where Ebony, you've seen it 1,000 times. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
like that was the only time I cued in on the acting as being not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the 4 actors we see on screen, the doctor, in my opinion, was the worst actor of the 4.
Yeah.
Well, he also had to act a part that's not a usual, be a regular person, which is probably why it ended up being that way.
Now, I don't think we've mentioned, but the script of this movie is non-existent, right? Pretty much. I mean, it was just a rough outline that the director said, here's the things you should talk about. And did you just mention this?
I literally just said all of these things.
Okay.
Well, and let's just say,
sorry, I'm going to be honest with you. I was looking up Ghost Town, the movie, and realizing that there's another movie called Ghost Town with Ricky Gervais.
So
I was confused. So I that's why I missed your whole conversation.
It's fine. Yeah.
There are some missed opportunities in this movie to be a scarier movie.
Okay.
In terms of the actual poltergeist activity, it does feel like it's an hour and a half of. It feels like it's an hour and 29 minutes of waiting for a minute's worth of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And like when he's in the attic, I felt like, I don't know, I just felt like there was so much more they could have done in that kind of scene. Certainly he finds the picture or even hiding through real easy digital effects, hiding the shadows or hiding things that you could see in later viewings to see what's going on, in that way.
That's where I think we've been spoiled with things like The Haunting of Hill House, because there are those really smart moments, the Smorer, that we've been given where we know to look for these little things. I was doing the same thing in the same scene in the attic. I was like, all right, there's got to be some eyes or something.
Right. I kept waiting to see a shadow with eyes or something. Yeah. Because it never popped up.
That's when they start, that's when it gets taken out of control, though. Because once you start doing that, then they start adding too much in. And then you've just got jump scares galore, and there's you look at every corner, there's something. And that's what I feel like they failed with the rest of the series.
Minus too much
films. But a lot of the other films is just way too much. It's like, here's the pans dropping, and here's this going on, and here's a shadow, and here's a sheet, and it's like. Well,
that was part of Mike Flanagan's brilliance in Haunting of Hill House, where he hid, I don't know how many ghosts in the background.
Yeah.
That weren't there to scare you, but are just ambiance.
There.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that idea, and I love that fact, and I think. Simply by, just adding some eyeballs somewhere that are looking back at you or something. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
That's the beauty with Mike Flanagan, though, is that he knew what he was doing. I feel because I think this was, I can't remember the director's name, but I think this was his first film.
Yeah.
If he starts adding more and more, then you start to run off with it. And
you got to be smart with that, too, like you said.
That's just it. Exactly. So, I don't know. It's a fine line. Depending on who's actually directing it.
So the director Oren Peli, Peli, he's directed Pele. He's directed 2 films. He directed it's not. Ole, ole, ole. Oh. So he directed 2 films.
Okay.
This movie and something in 2015 called Area 51. And,
he did do that as well. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the poster.
In the grapevine,
the poster says from the director of Paranormal Activity and the producer of The Purge. Now he's a producer like crazy, so he produced Insidious a couple years later, and then of course Paranormal Activity 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6.
And you have to wonder with the producer credits how much of that is ideas that he's bringing to the table and how much of that is just name recognition.
I think
right. They're like, oh, we want director here that people are going to recognize, or a name people are going to recognize?
Well, I think it's because it's his idea, right? It's his baby now, and so he gets a producer credit, and
it's like James Wan. He gets credit for everything, but he's not actually on half the stuff that he gets.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. You're not wrong. I mean, director of Paranormal Activity 2 was Todd Williams. Right. So that's he's done a bunch of things. He's directed a bunch of stuff. So
yeah.
So this other dude, what I just mentioned, Oren, whatever, he's again produced the Chernobyl Diaries and Insidious 2 and Insidious 3 and Insidious 4. So
should watch Chernobyl Diaries next.
Are there?
You want a good jump?
Oh yeah.
Again,
there's 5 Insidious movies. The fifth one's is in post production right now for 2023. Chernobyl Diaries. What's that about?
I think I've seen that one actually.
6 tourists hire an extreme tour guide who takes them to the abandoned city of Pripyat. I can't pronounce it. It's Ukraine. Where the Chernobyl nuclear reactor. During their exploration, they
and then he abandons them or something, and it's creepy.
That's the one. Yep.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, I have not, obviously. But now that one actually has a cast of people, like that have pictures on IMDb. Yeah. So, but anyway, Bradley Parker is the director. Anyway, my point is, I don't know what my point is. My point is that I think Ebony was making the point about the director not being very experienced. And
I read somewhere he was a software developer or engineer before he decided to make this movie.
Yeah.
Or software designer, maybe. That's what it was. And so this was literally his brainchild, and he could do all the editing himself because his experience as a software developer.
Yeah, and he did all the post effects, like all of them, according to the trivia I read. So like the footprints on the floor and the shadow effects.
I still want to know how they did that.
It was CGI.
Was it CGI?
Yeah, it was all post effects.
Oh, okay. I thought I read somewhere it was all practical effects.
I mean,
I don't think there's any CGI in this.
Well, according to
as well.
Yeah, so it was okay. CGI is the wrong phrase. They had like they green screened it kind of a thing. Like there was a dude in a black suit with a green handprint making the powder, right? Like they had to remove something out of the shot. So like
he was walking backwards or something, and they reversed the shot.
Something like that. I can look it up in the trivia in a little bit. But like when she's being dragged out of the bed, right? That's a harness on her foot. It's actually a dual harness system. It's kind of neat. So the one is off camera to the left that pulls her out of the bed, and then the second one that pulls her down the hallway. But those are just wires and crew wearing all black, just pulling rope. Pulling a system, but the way that it was built, it had to detach from her ankle, whatever, when she went down the hallway. Otherwise, it'd be dragging the other rope, down the hall. So it was a pretty clever way of doing things. But the entire movie was also filmed in Oren's own home. That's his house.
Yeah.
So that's kind of neat.
And I read. There's some disputing facts, but one says that it was filmed all in 10 days and one says 7 days.
Yeah.
So very short filming time.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Except, okay, now here's the real question.
Yeah.
Did they sleep? Was that really them sleeping all night, or at least for a couple hours until the camera clicked on?
I mean... That's
right.
That was the joke I made as one of your middle names. It's like, I mean that time lapse is real. That's a real time lapse, and whether the time code is real at the time is irrelevant. But like, in order to make time lapse work, you actually have to shoot the footage. So I mean, did they literally just tell the actors, "Hey, get in bed, take a nap. We'll wake you up when it's time"? I mean,
I would say they did.
I mean,
yeah, I always thought they did.
They're living in this house for 10 days while they film it. So why not just,
Get comfy.
Yeah, we set the shot. We send the crew out of the room. And we hit record, and then we'll see you in 3 hours. You know.
Here's something that bothered me about the movie, and it makes it unrealistic to me. That house was way too clean for 20 something.
They don't have kids yet, though.
Yeah, they don't have kids.
True.
They do not have kids yet.
I mean, before I had kids, I don't remember being that tidy when it was just my wife and I.
Well,
we were tidy.
My house isn't the tidiest.
He's a day trader. He works at home, so I guess he has he's there to be the guy to clean the things. I guess I don't know.
Even more reason, in my opinion, for it to be
the
more food and shit around.
Yeah.
The thing that was
that is true. There wasn't. I could see that. There wasn't. Didn't look as lived in as you would think.
That's the thing. Like, it didn't look lived in. The only part that looked lived in was the bedroom to me, and maybe the bathroom.
Yeah. There was 2 scenes that really bothered me as far as the lived in, but okay. So there's a shot when he burned the cross in the fireplace. The camera's on the ground, and we're looking at the fireplace, and we're looking at his stereo system setup. So one of my notes is,
of course,
not to be that guy, but exposed wire for your rear channel system is bad form. So it literally had wire. Now, this is the director I'm making fun of, not just Mika. The director, dude, hide your freaking wires. Like, he had speaker wire going across the fireplace.
Yeah.
That took me out. I was so angry at the movie. It's like, dude, get some wire molding. I did it at my house downstairs.
Never mind a demon in the house. The wires.
The wire. It was
the wires.
It was
that is
so
the true horror of this movie.
It really is. That was the scaredest I got. No, that's not true. Honestly, the one thing that this is the one thing that took me out of the movie. Now, Sam, you sleep with a thing on your face. I don't know about you, Andrew. I don't know how you guys are as far as like how heavy sleepers you are. Sam, I know that you're a heavy sleeper. And Ebony, I obviously have no idea what kind of sleeper you are. I am a light sleeper. I have always been a light sleeper, and I've also always been on call with the kids late at night. So when she in the movie walks over to the other side of the bed and stands there, there is absolutely no one.
I would have noticed that 100%.
Yeah.
I would have woken up straight away.
Immediately. Like, there's a part of your brain.
I'd go right through it.
Yeah, Sam, I think once you told me you slept like 14 hours, and I couldn't understand how you could do that. But
yeah, actually, I did that again today because I didn't have to bring the kids to school.
Nice.
So I went to bed at 10 and woke up at 1 o'clock today.
There's been several times when a child is standing.
Yeah.
Like, they'll get up in the middle of the night and they're standing there, and they haven't said anything to me yet, and I just I sense a presence watching.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's the presence. That would be me as well.
And it's worse.
It's not the sound of them walking, it's the feeling.
Yeah, and it's worse than them just saying daddy, like it's because when they don't. Now, mine are old enough now where they know to say something. Like I've told them, please say something when you come in the room, because otherwise I might physically hit you, flail your arm, because it's scary.
That's horrible.
Flying across the room.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's a scary thing. So, but usually they stomp on the way in or whatever, because the last time one of them actually came in the room, my son got sick a few weeks ago, and he was in tears on the way in. So I heard the sobs before I even heard him open the door. But yeah, no. So that actually, that literally was the part when, even when the first time she does it, when she just gets up and she just stands there for like a couple hours and then she goes outside. Like even just that.
Oh.
Do you know the only thing that wakes me up is like if the fan stops?
Oh, really?
Really? Yeah. You could be screaming at me and I'll stay asleep, but if the fan stops, I'm immediately awake.
That's all right. Okay. Yeah, if Sarah gets up to go to the bathroom, that wakes me up. When the dog gets up to go downstairs to get a drink of water, that wakes me up.
I don't know, man. I've been there, so many times watching you sleep that you seem to sleep right through it.
Yeah, there's no way. Even like last night when even last night I took a melatonin, right? I still woke up at 3:00 because the dog had to go outside. I mean, so I wish I could go. I also wish I had the ability to hit the pillow and just fall asleep. My wife can do that, and I hate her for it, and she knows it.
I can do that.
I can't. I'm minimum.
I sit on the couch once I get home from work, and I'm already asleep. Like I'm gone.
Well, see, that's different. Like I can do that. Like I get home from work, and I'm tired. I can get on the couch and crash within about 4 or 5 minutes. But that's like a 20-minute nap at most.
Yeah, no, I'm gone. Like I'm dead to the world.
Yeah, I can't do that. But like when it's time for bed, unless I take a melatonin, right? Because Sam, you even said take NyQuil, to which I said I can't. NyQuil does weird things to me.
Maybe you should have it with chicken.
Yeah, I should. That's the new thing now.
Apparently, that's the in thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I can't. Like again, last night I took the melatonin and I stayed awake long enough where I could feel it really kicking in, where I can really start feeling like my eyes getting heavy before I turn the TV off or put my phone down so I can go to sleep. So I have as little time from actively using my brain to try to go to sleep. So that still took about 10 minutes. But a normal night's about 30. I'm in bed for about 30 minutes before I fall asleep.
Yeah.
See, that was one of the great reasons of getting a psychology major, because we took behavioral change class, and they taught us how to basically hypnotize ourselves to sleep. So like there is a procedure that you do that you can get to sleep in about 3 to 7 minutes.
Does it involve alcohol?
No.
That answers out.
Yes.
Interesting. All right.
I'll maybe send you a link. Maybe you can try it.
Yeah, maybe. Because there's things like, because my son has asked me multiple times, like, how do you fall asleep? And I'll tell him, like, here's the things that I do, but obviously they don't work very well. So we'll try some other things. Any other notes you guys want to talk? Oh, here's one other thing I hit on real quick. When she does go outside, the alarm would have gone off, because every night he says, beep, the alarm's secured. It would have set off the alarm.
Yeah.
Unless she sleepwalked and turned off the alarm, but I don't think she did that. Anyway, that's the only other thing that I really hit on, other than just the movie. The movie scared me. I mean, like Sam, you laughed the ending, right? You said that like when she did the thing at the camera, like you laughed.
Yeah.
It like when he flew at the camera, right? So that was a good jump scare. And then when she crawls over the body and she's sniffing him, like I couldn't look her in the eye. You know what I'm saying? Like when she looks I'm serious. When she looks up at the camera, I was watching the TV, but it was like I wasn't watching her face. I was watching just kind of to the right of her. There was something about that moment. It was really unsettling to me.
I mean, because they manipulated her face a little bit too in that shot.
Yeah, they did a little Bilbo Baggins reaching for the ring kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway. Any other notes before we play the 3 clips that I got?
Sure. Please tell me you got the silence of all the fast forwards at night.
No.
Oh, okay. Shoot.
Anything else, Ebony, you want to say before? You're muted.
No.
Yeah.
I've got nothing.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll play a few clips, and by a few, I mean, again, I only have 4. There's not a lot of dialogue to record, right? Again, there's just them talking, and then or it's screaming, right? There's a lot of screaming. There's a lot of F-bombs. There's just a lot of, so there's just not a lot to whatever. By the way, I spelled Ouija board wrong. Both times on purpose.
How did you
It's
spell
okay.
it?
I have one sitting behind me, so I can show you how to spell it.
No, I'm good.
It's just W-E and the letter G.
Yeah.
Well,
I do not mess with those. I had a scary instance in high school.
I
with one of those
refuse to
stupid
use
things.
it, but it is sitting on my shelf behind me.
No, thank you.
Yeah, so in my notes I did write WEEGEE. because my parents had a dog who was an Italian greyhound, right? An Italian greyhound is a little greyhound, and he was wee G, as in little G greyhound. And but when they would spell it out Weege, so I spelled Ouija that way. And then in the clip here, I spelled it. I knew it was like there's a Q or an O or something. I couldn't remember, so I spelled it Quiji.
Oh dear!
I don't know what I was.
Pretty close, actually.
I don't know.
By the way, speaking of the Ouija board,
Yeah.
you guys also like totally lost all respect for him when he brought that out, right?
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't understand. So, okay, I guess I'm not playing clips yet. I guess I don't understand his motivation, right? Because at first his motivation is like, I want to capture this stuff on camera, which it feels like so that he can put it on. I mean, this is 2006 when this was
Right.
filmed.
Mm-hmm.
So YouTube did exist.
Yeah.
But maybe he wants to just film this stuff so he can put it on the local news or YouTube or whatever. Like it feels like it's a marketing ploy. And then he was
he mentions that later in the film anyway.
Yeah.
'Cause he says that this is, this could possibly be the first footage of anyone actually capturing this sort of phenomenon. So he's definitely got that like famous thought in the back of his head of like, if I record this and I can prove it, watch me blow up, sort of thing.
Yeah. And then, which is what pisses the thing off, I think. And then, or it says it in the movie several times, it's like, you've made it mad because you brought the camera involved. And then he brings the Ouija board, though he doesn't use it. He just puts it in the house. But just having it there was, I guess, enough to.
Well, you saw the thing use it.
Yeah, the thing used it. But like, which again was a really cool effect. I mean, it was a really well done effect. But I guess, but it felt like he was, like he had an end game with this thing, right? Like he was trying to, he's like, well, let's talk to it. And she's like, no, don't do that. And I never quite understood his thing. And then later in the movie, he's like, I'm going to end this thing right now. Like, what are you going to do? Like hit it with a bat? Like I never understood like his motivation.
What his plan was.
Yeah. He kept saying,
I don't think he fully grasped the situation though, because it's like when they're sitting down with the psychic and he goes, oh, why can't we just give it what it wants and it'll go away? And he's like, because it wants her. Like, how do you not get this yet? It wants her.
Yeah, I don't know.
And by the way, I hope she at least disclosed to him about what was going on before he moved in with her. I mean, giving him a little bit of credit.
About that.
Right?
It's like, you could have told me beforehand. You could have told me the first date, the second date, the 10th date before I moved in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's a little creepy.
Yeah, I mean, but that does kind of feel like a weird thing to bring up in a date, right? You know, I mean, I guess it's like, hey, do you want to move in with me? Sure, but a ghost might come with me.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously not a first date.
Yeah,
that is not a first date
It's
conversation.
not a Tinder bio.
Right, but I mean, like his point was like, she goes, when would I have brought this up? You know, on the first date? He goes, no, but you could have brought it up on the 10th or the 15th or before we moved in together. And like, I get why he's mad, but again, still to the point, it's like, when would that have come up? Honey, I love you and I want you to move with me. Here's the key to my house. Great. So there's going to be me and a ghost coming too. Okay. Like there's no way to have that conversation.
Well, not even a ghost. I mean, this is not even a ghost. This
she didn't know that. Right.
True. Okay.
And I think though that there are some things that happen to people that are very traumatic that they don't want to bring up at all to anybody.
Yeah.
They go into that in the other films as well as to what he actually is and the reasons why she's forgotten certain things or doesn't want to, remember certain things. So
interesting. So they revisit these two people.
So the second film is the sister, the same time that this is happening to Katie.
Oh.
So the second film is Christy in the same period of time or close thereabouts, because it actually shows like her visiting them and stuff like that. Like it shows Katie and Micah in the film. The third one goes back to them and like the origin as to why everything is happening to them. And then the others I'm not even going to touch on.
Oh, okay.
Pretend they don't exist.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, now I'll play some clips. Okay. Here's the doctor saying words.
These hauntings, they feed off of negative energy. So if there is something negative going on here, it will help spur on the haunting. You know, this entity may feed off of that. You shouldn't let your mother come over anymore. That's fine.
So that's like the only joke in the movie right there is, you know, the idea that there's negative energy in the house, so we shouldn't let your mother come over because clearly she doesn't like him, but, you know, why would she?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no comment.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
You got to watch the other films, I'm telling you.
Oh. Yeah, no, I'm good. Again, I would if Ebony, if you say to me, I'll come back on the show in 6 months so we can watch the second one, I would do that. But I would
watch all of them. I'd easily watch all of them. Even as much as I don't like certain ones. Like,
except Shawn, what we have to do is we got to have a weekend together again. We'll go, you know, do our 40th birthday type of stuff, and then we'll watch it on a Friday night. And then you've got to live with us being around for the next 2 nights.
Yes, that's the one condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it's got to
come
work.
back on otherwise.
So, here's the funny thing, though, Sam, is again, one, we've already established that I'm a light sleeper. So it's not like you're going to sneak into my bedroom. But also, like, once you're asleep, you're done. I'll just wait for you to fall asleep. So.
You do it well, the pranks are already set up.
Yeah. There's a little bit of flawed logic here, but
I'll make it work.
Yeah, I know you will. You'll find a way to torture me somehow.
I can help. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just some ways to do it.
Perfect.
2 continents away, she's still gonna find a way to torture me. I like it. All right. This is the Ouija board moment.
What are you doing?
I'm going to talk to it.
Look at me.
I told you I was...
You promised me you weren't going to... You look at me like that. You promised me you weren't going to mess with that stuff.
No. I promised you I wasn't going to buy a Ouija board.
Oh,
I didn't buy a Ouija
you
board.
You knew exactly what I meant.
I borrowed a Ouija board.
You.
Yep. That's when I lost it with him.
Yeah.
I was like, you moron.
Yeah.
You brought this on
To be
yourself.
fair, that's something I would say, though.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't buy it. I borrowed it.
Yeah, you do
the logic.
A difference without a distinction. Is that the phrase or something like that? Yeah. It's really interesting. So I'm looking at the crew of this movie, right? So it's a cast of 5 because there's a bunch of other people that are uncredited, like the cops and whatever. So it's just a cast of 5.
Oh, I was about to say, I thought there was only 4.
Right. There's Katie and Mika and the doctor and then the sister. And
yeah, the sister turns up as well. And then
wait, was that the sister that
On
came
the
to
couch.
visit while they were doing beads?
Yep.
Okay.
That's Christy.
Okay.
Well, her name's Diane in the credits.
Oh no, that's the Diane is the girl that's on the screen. They show a picture of her. That's the only time she's on.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Yeah,
Diane's
that's
yeah.
her. Christy's the one on the couch, though. They sit and they're drinking wine.
Okay. Well, again,
about the past.
in this credits, she's listed as Amber. So, but that's because her name is Amber. So maybe she didn't have a name yet.
I thought that was just a friend named Amber. I didn't think it was her sister.
Well, that's the only 5 people.
And she comes back because they talk about their past.
Yeah. That's the 5, right? Because the rest of the uncredited is Exorcism Nanny.
What?
Dr. Johann Avery's, Lieutenant Randy Hudson, and Richard. Those are all uncredited, but they're
Exorcism Nanny.
Yeah, that's what it says.
What?
Where in the world was that? That must be another deleted scene.
I don't know, but that's what's in the cast. So that's the entire cast I've just mentioned. So then you've got a handful of producers, and then cinematography is done by the director, as well as editing and casting and set direction and costume design are all the director. The largest department in this film is the sound department.
Well,
but I mean, it's all bad sound.
But is it bad sound on purpose?
It's bad sound on purpose, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You had 9 people as ADR mixer, sound designer, re-recording mixer, sound designer. I mean, I know sound designer. I like how these guys are all uncredited. How are you uncredited? Did you not get paid? I hope you got paid.
There you go.
They just sort of watched.
And then there's additional crew, international marketing, audio description narrator, studio publicist, just things like that. But again, it's the crew. This was an on-set crew probably of about 7 people total. Probably. I mean, again, sound mixer there, sound guy, because there's not even a boom operator. There wouldn't have been. Again, the sound is
no, you couldn't.
Yeah, you wouldn't have. There's the shots wouldn't have allowed for it anyway. But anyway, there's that. There's the doctor coming back.
What?
In fact, I've got to get out of here. This thing is very aggravated. The fact that I'm here.
Wait, everybody calm down. We need your help.
So that part there is what I was talking about. Like, this is the worst acting for her. All right.
Well, I've got to tell you, I am not the person to help you in this situation. This is not my area of expertise. I think I'm doing more harm being here than any good. Yes, I really have got to leave.
So,
yeah, I think he's just a bad actor.
He is. Well, he's done 2 things ever, and this was one of them. So,
yeah,
he's probably a friend, right? He's like
probably,
he's a friend or maybe he's an actual psychiatrist or something. I don't know, but
or maybe they just needed a couple more takes.
I don't know.
With that one.
Mark Friedrichs, he doesn't have a picture on IMDb. He's known for Wrist Cutters, a love story as Zia's father.
Title.
That is the worst.
Paranormal Activity.
Crap.
And then one episode of something called Emerald Nights as the mayor. He was in the pilot. Wrist Cutters, a love story. Let me see what this is. A film set in a strange...
Isn't it a comedy? I think I've heard of this.
Let's see. A comedy, drama, fantasy. A film set in a strange afterlife way station that has been reserved for people who have committed suicide. So it's like Beetlejuice, except you've committed suicide.
Interesting.
It's got... there's some people in here that Tom Waits.
Yeah, some people.
Mark Boone Jr., Leslie Bibb, Will Arnett. Will Arnett.
Yeah.
Is in this. Nick Offerman.
Oh my gosh.
Leslie Bibb.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
All right. Well,
we know those people.
Yes, we do know those people. Anyway. That's
we know them. They're our best friends.
The director.
Right.
The director also did a movie called Even Pigs Go to Heaven.
That was a sequel to All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah. That was the third of that series. All right. This is the last clip I have, and there you go.
I think we'll be okay now.
There you go. Little creep factor there.
Wait, now where was that in the movie?
So that's when she says she wants to leave, right? She says, "Let's go," and then he tries to get her to leave, and she won't. And then she's in bed, all curled up, and he's like, "All right, the car is ready. Let's leave." And she goes, "I don't want to go. I want to stay here. I feel safer here." And then he goes, "Fine," and he walks out. And then she says that line, and then smiles. She doesn't look at the camera, but she's basically looking at the camera, and she has that really wicked smile. Because at this point, I guess she's possessed, right? I think that's what's happened.
Yeah.
And she knows that night is the end for him. So, but I'll tell you what, though, that scream downstairs that she does, that wrecked me. I mean, I'm serious, man. That it affected me. It really did. And then that throw at the camera was exceptional. I'm not sure how they did that. It was a cool way,
right? They had to have had a rope or something through the wall, they couldn't have just tossed somebody into it.
Had to have been a dummy, some kind of dummy thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And that camera held up pretty good. I mean, that camera did all right. All right, time for so that's it. Now we play our game, and this week the game's sponsored by.
That's Serena over there.
And that's Naomi, and we are the hosts of Weird Mythic Podcast.
Yes, we are. Our show, Weird Mythic, covers stories about cryptids, which is what brought us together to create the show. But we also like to talk about anything paranormal and strange that happens in the world.
We post episodes every Sunday on different topics, and we would love to have more listeners. We're on all podcast platforms, and you can find us on all social media sites as well. Give us a listen, send us some personal stories to share on the show, and we will love you forever.
Yes, we will. We would love some personal stories, some cryptid encounters, and we hope that you listen and tune into the show.
You can listen to Weird Mythic podcasts wherever you get your podcast fix.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
This game is called Hey, Did You Notice? This is the game where Andrew has found some fun or interesting or, I don't know, whatever he found in the background, things for us to play. Ebony will play against, who wants to go, Sam or me? How about you and I together? Because she's seen this 1,000 times. So you and I we'll be on a team.
$100, I still don't know any of this.
Oh, I'm sure you will. So it's just a game. We'll go back and forth. Ebony, you go first. If you get it right, you get a point. If you don't get it right, Sam and I can steal. All right, Andrew, take it away.
Okay, Ebony, I'm going to throw you a softball to start with.
Uh-huh.
At the beginning of the film, they're in the kitchen, and she pours herself a glass of wine. What's the brand of wine?
No idea. I don't even drink wine. I'm not paying attention to labels.
It's funny because all the other labels of pretty much everything else in the movie was blurred, but this one wasn't.
Like the one thing I didn't pay attention to, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be asked questions. They're in front of a microwave. There's a knife. There's wine. But no, not the label. I have no idea.
All right, Sam or Shawn?
Any idea?
I don't know. They're in California. I don't know. Rodeo Drive wine. I don't know.
It's fitting that Ebony is our guest because it's Yellowtail wine.
Oh, is it really?
That's right.
Yeah.
Damn, I should have picked up on it. One thing.
All right. Shawn and Sam.
Yeah.
There on top of the refrigerator, there is a jar of a specific kind of candy. What is it?
It was candy? I have no idea. Sam?
M&M's would be my guess.
Ebony, do you know?
If it's American candy, I'm really out. I have no idea.
Red Vines.
Oh,
who eats red vines?
Yeah, Ebony.
Me.
You love licorice.
You're gross.
Hey, that's what my wife says.
Yeah.
All right, so back to Ebony.
Mm-hmm.
As Katie is talking to Dr. Fredericks, she mentions when all this began, and she talks about her sister Christy.
Mm-hmm.
She also mentions the age. How many years are the two sisters apart?
She said it started when she was 8. And I believe there's 2 or 3 years between them, if I remember correctly. And I could be way off. There could be a massive gap. So I'm going to go with 2 years between them.
Shawn or Sam?
I'm going to say 3.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say. 3.
It's like Ken.
She says, I was 8 and my sister was 5.
Yeah!
So it was 3 years, yes.
So close. Do I get a point for remembering she was 8? Like, come on. Half a point.
All right. Shawn and Sam. On night 5, Katie wakes up from a nightmare and the couple hears a thud downstairs. As the couple returns to the bed, something has changed about Micah's appearance. What was it?
Oh. I was all ready to say the light lampshade was all crooked. Doggone it.
Something about his appearance?
Was he not wearing socks?
I don't know. I didn't see his feet. So no, that's not the answer.
Dang it. Okay.
Ebony.
Is it the shorts that changed?
His shorts are changed. Actually,
wow.
Not just his shorts, but his t-shirt as well.
Oh,
When he goes downstairs, he's wearing a light gray shirt with blue piping around the neck and the sleeves. And his boxer shorts are champagne glasses. And when they go back to bed, he's wearing light blue boxer shorts and a dark blue t-shirt.
I didn't pick up the shirt, but definitely, the shorts for sure.
I'll give it to you. So we're tied.
Wow.
Right, interesting.
Here we go.
Like did you notice that, or did you go through the goof section on IMDb?
No, I noticed it because I went back through the goof section to see if it was there, and it's not there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. All right. So whose question is this? Ebony, is this?
Yeah, it's
this
hers.
is you.
Yeah.
On night 15, Katie sleepwalks.
Mm-hmm.
How much time passes as she stands next to the bed?
Shit. I feel like it's a while, like it's a decent amount of time. I just don't know how much. I feel like it's at least an hour or two. Like it's not a few minutes, surely. I swear to God, if you say it's like a minute and a half, I'm not gonna.
Well, we know that
shut everything down and walk away.
we know that it's.
I'll go with like an hour and a half. I'll go between the two.
Okay. Shawn and Sam.
I don't think it's an hour because I think I was watching it. I want to say it's like 47 minutes.
Sure. No one has it correct.
Well,
it is
someone closer.
It is. She got up out of bed at 1:36 and she came out of her trance at 3:30. So 2 hours and 6 minutes.
Wait.
No.
Was it?
I'm sorry.
Was that the question?
Hour and 54. Yeah. How long?
Oh.
No. How long?
I thought it was how long she stood next to the bed.
So hour.
Wait, I thought that's what it was too. Wait, so is it? So she was an hour and 54 next to the bed watching him. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I do have a tiebreaker because we're still tied. Ooh. This one should be simple. So whoever knows this first, just shout your name. Katie's slippers are constantly shown next to the bed. What animal are her slippers?
Shawn, I'm going to say bunny slippers.
No.
Dang it, Shawn.
Ebony guessed something.
Yeah, I'm racking my brain. I'm like, who looks at slippers?
Obviously,
I think they're duck slippers, aren't they?
So.
They are not ducks either. No,
okay, they're not ducks. Okay.
But they're an animal, yeah?
They are an animal.
I swear, if you say koala or something, I'm out.
See, this is the problem, Ebony. You always put this on in the background. You never pay attention. I guess we're not.
Animal slippers at her age.
Yeah, I know.
Bears?
Not bears. So we're ending our game with a tie. Her slippers.
Wow, first time.
Her slippers were pigs.
What?
Would have guessed.
Yeah.
Come on.
Ever would have guessed.
Nah, that was the last on my list too.
Very cute.
How old is she?
She's got a demon following her around. She's entitled.
Yeah. Whatever
It's
goes.
me sitting in a room full of toys, but anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have like 30 Funko Pops staring at you right now, but I guess you don't have pig slippers.
No, I don't have any slippers, let alone pig slippers.
All right. Time for this.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
All right. We decided to do top 3 low budget films. And I didn't really tell anyone what my definition of low budget, because I think Ebony's is different than the rest of ours, but we're going to just say low budget films. So Sam, we'll let you start us off.
Sure. I have got at number 3, The Blair Witch Project at only $60,000, which surprised me. And to see that it made over 150 million. Holy crap. What a return. My number 2 is Saw, the first one. And my number 1 is Whiplash.
All right.
At a little over 3 million budget.
Okay.
Which surprised me. Actually.
Yeah, I feel like J.K. Simmons would have
really
garnered
me back.
a higher budget than that, but
right.
I guess he was just looking for an Oscar.
Yeah.
All right. Ebony.
I also had Blair Witch Project,
Mm-hmm.
but I've also got Monty Python and the Holy Grail. At
Nice.
400,000, made over 5 million. And I've
Wasn't
also
there
got
a rock star? Wasn't there a rock star that partially financed that? I thought I
I'm
saw a
not sure.
trivia
It wouldn't
somewhere.
surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Pink Floyd.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And I've also got Eraserhead at 100K and made over 5 million.
What was that one? Sorry?
Eraserhead?
Razorhead.
Had a
Oh,
100K
Eraserhead.
budget.
Yeah, Eraserhead.
I've
Yeah.
never heard of that.
Eraser.
No, I have to laugh, Ebony. So, we're speaking the same language, but there's still a language barrier. I had to call England for customer service on a tech project, and we could not understand each other, and it was very frustrating.
What did they say?
It was the letter H as in hotel. And I usually, when I'm giving like serial numbers and stuff, especially if there's lettering, I always use what's called the phonetic spelling, right? Alpha, beta, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot. So I'm saying hotel, and he's like, "So you're saying H?" I'm like, "Yes," as in hotel. So you're saying H? Yes, as in hotel. It took us so long to understand what we were saying. And I'm like, I started laughing. I'm like, how are we both speaking English right now and not understanding what we're trying to say? And
We're all convicts here, so we understand the Brits very well.
yeah,
that's true.
It was very funny. All right, my three. I didn't do the assignment. I didn't put the numbers for them.
Oh,
I didn't.
man.
I didn't think to do that. I guess I
Failed.
should. I did fail. My number three, and I had an honorable mention. So my number three is going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one.
Yeah.
Because that was about 13 million, I think, filmed mostly locally here in North Carolina. And
with real turtles.
With real turtles. And until
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction was at the time the highest grossing independent film ever. And then Pulp Fiction, killed it. My number two is Rocky. Rocky was, again, fairly low budget, around 10 million or so. And my number one is Juno.
Okay.
Which also has J.K. Simmons in it, interestingly.
He likes his low budget stuff. He must not like craft services.
Well, I still think he's still getting, he's still on Spider-Man money. He's good, and farmers insurance commercials and things like that. So he's good. Andrew.
Well, I also had Whiplash on my list as my number three. It is on my top 10 list of all times.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's a great movie. I had Napoleon Dynamite at 400,000.
All right.
As my number two. And then number one, I'm not ashamed to admit this, my Big Fat Greek Wedding at $5 million.
I nearly had that on my list too.
Yeah.
That's so close.
That's a fun little movie.
It's a fun, yeah.
I love the family.
Nice. I've seen
and the Windex. Got to
And the
remember
Windex
Windex cures everything.
The bunk cake. Bunt.
It's the bunt.
I often say to people when they say, I have students that'll say, "Oh, I'm vegetarian." I'm like, "What you mean you don't eat no meat?" I like to say that to them.
Twitter offered us. I got this out a little bit late. That's my fault. So we only had a couple of responses on Twitter. Attitude AR Wrestling Review Podcast, as always, says, as in he chimes in almost all the time. So thank you very much for doing that. And go watch our episode with the wrestler or of the wrestler with him. He said Napoleon Dynamite, UHF, and Star Wars.
Huh.
Shoot the Flick at Shoot the Flick says Little Miss Sunshine, One Cut of the Dead, and Reservoir Dogs.
Great movie. I'm sorry. You said One Cut of the Dead, and then my mind just went off, and then you said Reservoir Dogs, and I was like, yes.
Is One Cut of the Dead, is that like a thing you've seen?
Yeah, it's a horror comedy. It's hilarious.
Oh, all right.
Really well done. Japanese.
Nice.
Japanese, Korean. I think it's Japanese. Could be wrong.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Sorry, I was again. I'm on Twitter looking at the thing, and I hit home, and I see your post from about an hour ago, Ebony. So that was funny. Anyway, our listeners won't get to experience that. That's thanks for you. Time for this.
Wait, what's supposed to happen?
This is where we do our out of 10. We give this movie a score from 0 to 10, and we start this week with Andrew. Andrew is muted.
I am muted and I'm talking to no one. IMDb has a 6.3 out of 10. I can't go that high simply for the fact of, like Ebony said, the rewatchability. I'm going to have to drop it down to about maybe a 4.8. Yeah, 4.8 out of 10.
Interesting. Okay. Ebony.
For me, this has always been around 7.58, but that's just because I have a nostalgia connection to it. I go by my first experience, and I watched it when it first came out, and I had a really fun time watching it. So it's always been quite high on my list.
All right. So
but I can understand, as I said, rewatchability. I can understand being lower.
So you said 7. What was you said? 7.8.
Yeah, about 7.5.
Okay, 7.5. I like it. Sam.
All right. I think I would have had a lot more fun watching this in the same room as Shawn.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know. It was almost there for me. So a 5.48 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I think that if we do something like this kind of movie again, we should live stream Shawn watching it.
Yes, right.
Oh, yes.
I will say this. So there's a phenomenon, right? When you observe something, you change it. So I feel like if you do that, my experience is going to be different, right? Because I'm going to have you guys in my ears. I'm going to be aware that I'm streaming, that people are watching with me. I don't think my experience of the movie
You don't
is.
need to know.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say he has never noticed the cameras before. So
right.
I think it wouldn't
There's
be.
actually a 24-hour live stream on YouTube right now. For
Yeah,
you,
right.
So.
Yeah, I'm sorry for all the nothing that you get to watch because. Well, you got to watch me build Legos this last weekend. I mean, that was the highlight. Is Lego building. So
and it got up to 250,000 views.
Yeah.
It's
We had all
pretty
those
impressive.
Lego builders watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch me follow the instructions so I can build Boba Fett Slave 1. So
Are they still calling it Slave 1?
no, it's called Boba Fett Ship, but it's Slave 1.
It's Slave 1.
It is what it is. I mean, it doesn't. Slavery is bad, yes, but the word itself is not. So I think it's okay to call it that. Maybe I'm. I don't know. If I just offended somebody, I apologize, I guess. So I'm actually going to give this movie kind of a higher rating because I think the movie set out to scare me, and it did it. Like it did the job it set out to do, and I think it did it effectively. Now I haven't watched it twice. I've only watched a couple of little bits to get those clips, but I mean, even like when I captured the clip of her saying, "I'm going to be okay now," I stopped it before she smiled because it was going to freak me out again. So, I'm actually going to give this a 7.5. Also, I'm right there with Ebony. This movie, no, I can't do that because the math doesn't work. I'm going to give it a 7.32 or 6.32. That's fine. Yeah, this movie is, its goal is to scare me, and it did that. So I think it did it well, and and so there it is, 7.5, and that's okay, I think, right? I mean, that's a little bit lower than what we've been recently, but
yeah, but see, and the interesting part is this isn't a bad movie per se. It's just not rewatchable for me.
Yeah.
Sure.
I've seen it. I'm done. And maybe just because of the way I saw it, the experience was different. But I find it interesting that we
have a widespread.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, it's very okay, obviously. I mean, we don't all have to be in a line. I mean, I'm looking back at, our looking just in front of me here. We've been fairly in line with each other as of recently. I mean, the farthest we were away with anything was that's with our guest Beer Fest. We had a pretty broad spectrum, but that was just with our guests because our guests loved it and we didn't.
Yeah.
Oblivion. Actually, Oblivion is a good one. I gave it a 7. Sam gave it a 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then Andrew was at a 5 right there in the middle. So anyway, the point is that Ebony is our guest and she is fantastic and everyone should go listen to her podcast. Ebony, please tell again our listeners where they can find your podcast.
Most places really. Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, the lot. Just search Gruesome, Twosome, Movie Reviewsome or Sweet and Sour Nuggiez podcast and you'll find me.
And the links to her show will be in the show notes. So go listen to her stuff, follow her on Twitter, give her support. Ebony is great. Again, we had to shift her schedule around. Again, she's living in the future, okay? I mean, it's already Saturday and like
1 p.m. Saturday.
Yeah, she's like halfway through her day already and we're getting ready to go to bed. So, Ebony she will forever be about 14 hours smarter than the rest of us. That's just the way it is.
True.
I wouldn't go that far.
But that's it. That's our show. Thank you all so much for listening. We are Cheapseat Reviews. Go to our website, cheapseatreviews.libsyn.com. And there you can find links to all of our social media. Also, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/cheapseatreviews. And we have new stickers. We have some really cool new holographic stickers that look really sweet. I'm going to kind of show Ebony there in the camera. Doesn't that look great? That's some cool stuff there. Yeah. So those are available through our Patreon, or if you just really want to buy one, just message me and we'll make something happen there. Next week, I'm very excited to announce that we're going to have back on returning. The first guest this year returning to the podcast is Carrie from Dick Tales Podcast, and we are doing Carrie. The 1960s something Carrie, 70s Carrie. We're doing the original one, Carrie. So,
and she knows, right?
She is very aware. Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
And she knows that they're all going to laugh at her. It's really interesting. I'm also just going to go ahead and run down the rest of Cheap Scare Reviews, just so you have a little teaser here. Next week, we're doing Carrie. The week after that, brace yourselves. The scariest movie we have ever done. That's right. We are reviewing Morbius.
Oh, Lord. Oh, man.
We're doing Morbius.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we're doing Morbius with V from Life Paranormal with V. She wanted to do something fun. I could not think of something more ridiculous. After that, we're doing Nightmare on Elm Street. We're doing Nightmare on Elm Street 2 with Lindsay. She's coming back on to do that. She is our Nightmare on Elm Street person, Ebony.
Yeah.
Just
That's right. I missed the first one, I think. Wasn't I gone for the first one?
Yeah, and you won't be here for this one either.
Oh, crap. Okay.
I mean,
never mind.
It says no Sam on my list here. I think, but I think that's because it's a Wednesday and there's an app game. I've moved it to Thursday, so maybe you can make it.
It might be when I'm going away on a camping trip too.
Then there's that. Then yeah, you'll miss it too. So you'll miss both of our Nightmare episodes. And then we're going to end the month with The World's End.
Oh, nice.
The Cornetto
final
trilogy.
Coronado trilogy, right?
Yeah, and that's with Jen from My Streaming Bubble. So that's the rundown this month. I think that's a pretty solid October there.
Yeah.
And a little mix of legit scary and some ridiculous. So I'm looking forward to all of that. That's it. That's the show. Ebony, again, thank you so much for coming on. We had an absolute blast.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And I'll go ahead and message you tomorrow so we can spend the next 6 months finding out when you're going to come back on the show. And again, go check out her stuff. She's great. That's going to do it for us. So on behalf of Andrew and Sam and Ebony, this is Shawn saying thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you next week with Carrie for Carrie.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.